Bonjour. Le micro marche. Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming today. My name is Julie Boukobza. I'm the head of the Luma Arles Residency Program since 2018. First of all, I would like to thank Luma Foundation, Luma Vesbau, and Luma Arles for organizing this event. In particular, Maja Hoffmann, Vasilis Oikonomopoulos, Friedrich and Hannah von Brühl, Sandra Romerman, Zurich Art Week team, and our great speakers present today. Alors, we are here to celebrate the recent launch of a Studio of the South book, Atelier du Sud in French, Sots pour les Intimes, published by Luma and distributed by JRP Ringier, co-edited by Asha Schechter and myself, and designed by Tiffany Malakuti. This book is the testimony of 3 blissful and productive years in Arles from 2020 to 23, where 23 artists were invited by the American artist Laura Owens and Maja Hoffmann to stay between 2 weeks and 2 months in a 3-story high yellow house nestled in the historical center of Arles, facing dramatically the antique Roman theater. The artists were selected by the acclaimed painter Laura Owens. The residents all came from various backgrounds and countries. Some were in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. Some were writers, painters, photographers, economists, graphic designer, or even children. To entice the artists to take their turns, Laura Owens decorated the 2 bathrooms of the house with her LaGuardia tiles, left 2 of her own paintings in the house, a matching guest book, painted the staircases and the kitchen splashback, and created whimsical cushions and silky, colorful curtains. During their stay, some resident garnished an entire wall. Some left no traces to be found. At the end of his 3 years, 201 to 212 artworks were left in the house. It took us months to trace back the authors of all of them. In my humble knowledge, it's the first book that I know dedicated to a multi-residency program, multi-artist residency program. So let's start, and please welcome our speakers. First, Bice Curiger on my left, legendary art historian and curator at the Kunsthaus Zurich for 20 years, and co-founder and editor-in-chief of Parquet from 1994 to 2017, director of the Venice Biennial in 2011, and artist director of the Fondation Vincent van Gogh in Arles from 2012, I have a problem with the number 12 today, to 25. Merci Bice. Laura Owens, artist. So we have a mini issue today. We were supposed to have Miriam Laura Leonardi with us, but due to family reasons, she's not here. But we have Gabriele Garavaglia, representing Italian artist based in Zurich and former resident of the Studio of the South. No, I cannot drop it. So we will start by the premises of the residency program, which traces back to 2020, when Laura Owens came back to Arles to prepare for her solo show at the Van Gogh Foundation, but actually traces back way back to 2014, 13. You both tell us. When you were first invited, really the first time to do this show at the Fondation Van Gogh. So I let you both, whoever wants to start.
I can start. First, I just want to thank Luma for hosting us and for hosting the residency. And I'm really happy to be here in Zurich again. It's been a while. I was, I don't know if we met a long time before that, but
2002 we collaborated on a Parquet issue.
Oh, right, the Parquet, yeah. And then in around 2000, I thought, I have to look in the book. The essay is pretty, I fact-checked it. But I think it's 2013 or 14. I found an email
14,
where 14, you invited me to think about doing something with the Van Gogh Foundation, and then...
And it was then realized, opened in 2021, so...
Yeah, so it was a long time of thinking about it, and I had been a fan of Van Gogh since, and I had visited Arles, and that's in my essay too in the book, when I was 20 in 1990. I don't. These years are in the book. So, yeah, I think that when I thought about Van Gogh, I started reading the letters again, and immediately thought about this yellow house that is in the letters, and the sort of the story of him inviting Gauguin and how terribly wrong it went, and wanting to recuperate that. Because once you start reading the letters, and if you read the essay in the book, I talk about this a lot, you realize he had, not just utopian dreams, but kind of socialist dreams of sharing resources, sharing space with other artists in order to make it be supportive of one another. And so I thought, like, oh, how sad that something so, like, kind of that needed to enter, like, the lexicon of art in the 20th century, maybe even a little more, got eradicated by his sort of mental breakdown and alcoholism. Was there more? Yeah.
Bice, maybe you want to talk more about the invitation, the show you did at Van Gogh together?
Yes, Maja Hoffmann and I
Oh, hi.
were are big fans for a long time of Laura Owens, and when Maya's father asked me to become the director of this new foundation he was creating, and which was open in 2014, but we started 2 years before already to prepare. And I had made a list with some artists' names, and you were on top of the list, and agreed very much with Maja. And that's, I think, the time when I wrote you then, and you had another exhibition at the Whitney, and preparing, so we had to give more space. And I think we talked about it later then, when this amazing, spectacular exhibition, I mean, it's time to say that it was the most incredible, mind-blowing experience being a curator of a exhibition like you did, because I remember we talked, I was saying Van Gogh paintings need less light than contemporary art. Contemporary art we are used to see in full-blown light, and there are restrictions for old art, and you have to deal with this if you want to put Van Gogh next to your work. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so that started a whole thinking around, like, how to, you can't put Van Gogh on a white wall, you can't have, the lumens have to be quite low, so, like, not to have this kind of flipping back and forth between contemporary art, the Van Gogh sort of strata of looking, so, like, to try to integrate this, and then that also spurred a sort of kind of obvious question that I would think anybody would have, which is, like, how do you be in a show with Van Gogh, who is, like, literally synonymous with the idea of art itself, and, like, almost doesn't have any residual being as an artist because they've superseded themselves as, like, beyond an icon, I think. So that was always a conversation I had with Mark, who got invited then to add as a curator, was how could we make a show where you actually walk in and you see a Van Gogh painting before you start thinking about the mythology, the memes, the gift shops, the merchandising all around Van Gogh you've seen your whole life. So that sort of just, like, sort of led me to this place where it was sort of serendipity. I was at antiquated book fair, and I found these two portfolios by one truly anonymous French artist, women artist, and a turn of the century female British artist. Basically, they're student sketchbooks, and I thought, like, I'll recuperate these two. I mean, they were maybe 20 years after Van Gogh, their birth date. They would have been probably 18 or 19 when they made the work, and he was probably 30. Oh, how old was he when he did the Arles show?
He died when he was 37, and it was in 1890.
So maybe he was 33 when he was making because we tried to use only work that was made in Arles for the show, I think, but maybe we didn't end up doing that. But I was looking at the beginning because it was too difficult to get that. But the idea was you have these totally anonymous people, and then you have like Van Gogh, and then you have me kind of in the middle, and our ages are very different, and yeah, just to kind of like switch it around. So
You see now the image behind you. It's you came up with the idea to make wallpaper based on Winifred Ho's
yeah, that was the
drawings.
British artist.
British artist, but it's you transformed, of course, her drawings into an amazing symphony of layers of printing techniques and tricks. And when you hear wallpaper, you think it's just patterns repeating rigidly, but it was a constant metamorphosis. It was waves going through the space, and there was a lot of trompe-l'œil effects. So you suddenly had the idea that something would come out of the wall. And when you talk about this, you would think, how is a Van Gogh painting still be presented if so much happens visually around it, but it worked harmoniously, as you can see here. And you even had the idea that it was a relief to once in your life see a Van Gogh painting which had this setting, which had space around it, which had also a graceful gesture of another artist or two other artists. Bringing another contemporary life, breathe into the space. So it was a very spatial approach to look at a Van Gogh painting.
And by the time, so then what we didn't say is like the show was supposed to happen in 2020, and that's also I was trying to have the Studio of the South building open and going by 2022, but COVID hit, and then I had a whole idea of inviting international artists, so I had to kind of switch over and invite French and European.
Friends of France.
Yeah, like people that could get to Arles easily during COVID when it was not so easy to travel. So I can't remember now when we had the first, when Julie...
2020.
Did Julie
August,
Beaufils come in
September,
2020?
yes, September 2020.
And did you guys come before this opening?
It was 21.
Yes.
Yeah.
April 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were second or something like that in the house.
Okay.
Also mega lockdown, right?
Sorry?
During the lockdown.
So
During
yeah,
the
that
lockdown.
Where
was...
there was the curfew at 5 p.m. and all of this.
Exactly. Yes.
So it was because the COVID happened, I stayed in, I got a carte séjour. I ended up staying in France for a very long time. I don't think I had met Miriam, but I had bought a piece of hers at Bellamy that I really liked in LA. And I was like, maybe this person can come do, I think maybe I knew Naoki.
Exactly.
And so it ended up being kind of this hodgepodge of friends and trying to think of ideas of who to invite at the moment that would work because
But that was really nice that the structure was so open and we all kind of got absorbed by you and your project.
Yeah.
And we became a community, but stumbling on each other like, almost casually.
Yeah. No, it was great because when I first met Miriam, it was like we got along really well.
Yeah.
We got lost hiking in Murias, and it was crazy. We were like behind. Suddenly, we realized we were behind like a big fence, and a dog was chasing us. And we were like, and she's like, "You gotta jump this fence, Laura." I was like, "Really?" I was like, yeah. It's like okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of outdoor activities because of the COVID.
COVID, yeah.
You kind of had a sort of outdoor workshop, painting workshop with your
Oh yeah,
daughter.
we did plein air painting, so we almost like inhabited. And I had rented this house outside of Arles with Mona and Jake who
Yeah.
were there, and we ended up doing plein air painting, and we had a recording studio, and it almost was like a precursor to what ended up happening in the house once, because the house was getting ready. You were renovating it, and yeah.
And maybe, yes, moving back to, like, how did you feel with Miriam when you arrived in the house, and how to decorate, to touch the house, like the feeling in the house as residents?
It was very intimidating because we were second, so there was just, I think, second or something like that. So there was not many artworks around, and the house was beautiful and pristine. So what we did in that occasion was really trying to do sort of site-specific intervention, but really merging with the house, so not being ultra visible in a way. The first thing she did was this painting with the eyelid.
Oh yeah, she made like a kiss with her eyelashes on the cupboards of the kitchen.
And it was almost invisible. And
Yeah.
so at the beginning it was actually complicated. I mean, we really enjoyed to be there and to do stuff, but we were afraid to touch.
And then I think she did this piano performance.
Yeah,
and that was
keyboard,
almost
yeah.
like the first time we gathered indoors, I think.
I was telling Gabriele before that I remember saying, how many people can we invite? Because at that time we couldn't invite, and you said we can invite whoever they want.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
in the middle of the curfew, and
Yeah.
and she made this. Everything was purple because of
Yeah.
the lavender fields. So she was very inspired, right, Miriam, by the
Yeah.
lavender.
Yeah.
And so she made this can with Alexandre Congi, who was at that time a resident of Luma.
Kanji.
They made a cake, a purple cake, purple drinks that were really strange drinks.
People, but it was like that. The people in the town also kind of think people got absorbed into the residency, like with Charlotte's. Had her Total de Rive, which was a cinema screening club, and so like there was a mini residency within the residency because Charlotte then invited like 5 more people to do screening nights and wrote texts, and we made a little zine, and so it was really nice because it did expand out, and but at the same time I feel like right now is the first time we've really even codified it besides the book. Because it was really something that was only going to happen in the past, because it was sort of this thing that was, shifting around and happening as it was happening. You didn't know what was happening,
Yeah, especially how the house would look at the end, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe, Bice, it's interesting also to talk about the time of Van Gogh in Arles and his failed attempt to create a residency there, and how did you feel that it relates to what the artist did, and maybe the touch of Van Gogh in their work, and if there's still this presence in the works? What did you think? Because they talk a lot about it. Asha did all this, the editor of the book did all these interviews with every single artist, and each time one of the premises was, what was your relationship to Van Gogh before you started the residency, right?
I think it's so interesting to read the letters of Van Gogh. So I would suggest that you all tomorrow look up vangoghletters.com. It's an amazing site. There are all the letters Van Gogh wrote in English, Dutch, and French. He actually, when he was in Arles, wrote many letters in exquisite French. It's literature today, and you start to read, you can't stop. It's amazing, and the website has a search machine.
Yeah.
You put in one word like cloud or whatever, and you have all the letters showing up with annotations. So that just a remark to start. So
no, it's important.
We know a lot what he thought, what he wanted to do. He wrote everyday letters. And this is also totally extraordinary that you have documents of an artist's mind concentrated like that. And there he explained very early in Arles that he wanted to create a community of artists, of his friends. He was always thinking that the public was unfortunately not ready yet. That was the beginning of modernism, I mean of modern art. The artists and Van Gogh and his artist friends knew that they would create for a future public. It's quite amazing, and he wanted to create a community, and they would then take care of selling also their works, which is a very radical idea. I don't think it happened.
Except, I mean, he was already an art dealer for.
He the brother was an art dealer.
But he worked for the etching guy.
Exactly, he was an art dealer in the teenage. I mean, around his 20.
Yeah.
For his uncle, but it was interesting. It was were the first reproductions he was selling, and he knew a lot about contemporary illustrators and wanted to become an illustrator himself before. And if you look at his painting style with the hatchings, you can see that he was influenced by the printing technique, the woodcut hatchings, and transposed it into the painting medium. And anyway, he was probably aware also that his painting had a potential to become also so popular, because he was looking at this popular imagery. And that's why I still am so grateful to the Hoffmann family to have brought me to closer to Van Gogh. And it's so interesting in the book here. You read all these statements of the artists who had a residency, and they all say, well, I never thought so much about Van Gogh. It's just this cliche. It's too much. It's popularized.
It's merch. Yeah.
And then they say, but then I started to read letters. I started to look at the paintings, and they there are so many similar statements. It's amazing, and it's all about this, that they discover a real Van Gogh behind the cliché. And this is also in my case. It was, but coming back to Van Gogh and his yellow house, he wanted to create first a room for Gauguin, who was the first artist to be invited, also paid by Theo to come, because Gauguin was not so keen to come to Arles. And I mean, we know that then they had a breakup, and
they had a fight. Yeah.
Fight, and it was this dramatic moment where he cut his ear and all that. But the fact is that he painted a series of sunflower paintings. He speaks in the letters about decoration in a very interesting way, not in the negative way as the word decoration has now been perceived, but he wanted to decorate the room for the arrival of Gauguin. And yes, this is also a bit what happened.
Yeah, he talks a lot about like preparing the house for his friends to come, and how he wanted them to have a good time and to stay, basically, to want to stay down in the south and see what he saw with the light and the landscape and painting outside, and didn't quite work out. But
And you, Laura, it's also very important in your practice, right? The notion of community in your own work, the way you
Yeah,
had the
I mean,
space
I've
before
always,
in LA. It's
I
always
think that's a long history and like a kind of undercurrent in all kind of feminist practices is that you're kind of like undermining this sort of the one who paints, the individual. You're kind of thinking of it as like this, you know, group of people that arrive at a moment, any moment in history, and they influence each other. It's not about like the one Pablo Picasso or something. So I think that's just always was the way I was taught, you know, like the artists I'm interested in. But yeah, early on in like 1998, I did like the Eagle Rock show at a community center with like Sharon Lockhart and Jorge Pardo and all these like LA artists. At you know, like an LA community center is like a rec center. It's like it's not an art gallery. So yeah, and then out of that, I guess it's, you know, different projects with the Scott Reader and the General Store in Milwaukee. And then I hadn't done a show in LA in like a decade. And I wanted to do my own show. And that I also was thinking about exhibitions and studio space, which is like a really interesting dichotomy to me because I went to CalArts where it's post-studio. And that's sort of like a, you know, it's a critique of painting in some way, this post-studio practice. And so I was always thinking about how the motion from the studio to the exhibition, and could that space be the same space, and could it just like, could you watch it kind of transform or move back and forth? And so I had wanted to find a space where I could have my studio and then open it as an exhibition. And I did that at 356 Mission. And then once it opened, quickly realized, you know, we had a 1-year lease, and I started inviting like Silke Autonop and different artists to do performance and events there, and then we quickly were like, let's renew the lease and do shows with other artists, which ended up again being kind of like, okay, I was showing with Gavin, and Gavin was helping us, so he was like, what about a Sturdivant show? So we did this amazing Sturdivant. I met Shahryar did a show, you know, like we just kind of, it like grew out of friends of friends, and Wendy had a big network of people that we were having events with and music concerts, and yeah. So it's something I always learned a lot from seeing how other artists make their work. I thought it was always really interesting.
Gabriele, also for you in your practice, is it super important, the notion of community, whether it was actually from this residency where it became some kind of community, even if you don't all live in the same town and all that?
I mean, for me, it's essential to exist as an artist. You know, like you need to be part of a community to be alive as an artist. But to speak about Laura, it's interesting because I joined the residency, and I think also Miriam, basically knowing one person, and now we are a big group of friends. So when we happen to travel wherever these people are, we kind of meet or we sleep over, and this happened only because of this strong sense of community that Laura brought in. And maybe it's the best thing I got out of this experience is that I have actually 20 new artist friends. I can talk about art, but also just like friends.
Actually, we're going to do a transition to the show that came from this residency at the Vincent van Gogh in 2023. And so we start maybe with the work you did for this show together with Miriam, and maybe talk after about the show itself, because it was more of a show that showcased each of the 23 artists in a more in-depth way with new productions.
Yes. Yes, this was a new production, and thank you to Bice to produce the video. And it was something we did months after being in the residency, so it was really informed by the vibe we had, and also by a book we were reading at the time where there was 3 lines where someone in love was trying to follow the loved one, but she couldn't because an Uber driver cannot follow that car. He can just go wherever you put, you know, the address you insert, and so you cannot follow someone. So there was this impossibility for this person to. So we translated this line into a video, which is set in Arles, but it was actually shot in a studio. So we had a very traditional way of doing a car scene with a video moving behind the car and the car standing in the studio. And it's not clear who is this person. Maybe is a curator. Maybe it's someone living in Arles. But for sure we heard a lot of rumors of when we were there and we were close at home, and we heard about love stories and things going on, but we could not experience it because there was this lockdown. So we kind of transfer a little bit this thing inside the video of this person trying to follow someone loved but being not able to communicate with the car, which is a self-driven car. So there is a little bit of a switch compared to the book. And at the time, the self-driven car was not.
Wasn't existing.
No.
Yeah.
So it was, and now, yeah, it's kind of a thing. Yeah.
And it's driving near the Arène.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's, yeah. And there was also in the entrance of the exhibition, there was
Exactly.
big writing.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys talked about the exhibition yet, did you?
Which
to the
one?
audience? Did you introduce the idea that we had an exhibition
Of Van Gogh?
at the Van Gogh?
No, I'm just launching
Okay,
the video at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Voilà. Oui.
Van Gogh
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah. I
So-
think it's something we
That was a Miriam piece
Yes.
you just saw.
Exactly.
yes.
That was also in the house.
So
Exactly.
the invitation to do the show kind of just grew out of, well, Julia Marchand was around, and
Margot. Yeah.
Margot, and other people were always hosting.
Julia Marchand and Margot Bonopera.
Yeah, and Alicia was always around because she was a local, and people would meet one of these three people and kind of be introduced to, and Julie to one of the restaurants, and. But then when did you decide to do a show? Do you know?
With Maja, I think. Yeah.
When it was over, or when it was?
No, when it was actually happening, I think. Or
Okay.
still.
Yeah.
Emer also was part of it. Who's here? Yeah. Chiki.
So this is not the house. This is Van Gogh Foundation. Just so it's.
So yeah, the show with the 23 artists who made new production mostly for. Yeah.
Your first collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah, collaborative.
Well,
It's
it
all in
was
the-
made by our staff in our museum. Sure. And I agreed.
Yeah. I think this was the first collaboration you guys did with a group show, right? Because Vasilis was the curator also.
Well, we had Raphael Hefti
And,
doing a performance in the Luma when it was still a construction site where he melted the iron. So it was, we
Wait.
had some collaborations or, yeah,
But maybe
happenings.
it's a little confusing for the audience because there's a house that's very different that was like invited. I was doing a show with Bice in 2020 that then got moved to 2021. At the same time, I needed a place to do the residency, and Maja said, do you want to, I can host it at this building. And then people started coming, and then like, well, there's all these great artists coming to town. We should do something at the end. And I think then we had 4 curators. Emer, Vasilis, Bice. Who's the 4th? Is Maja?
Maya.
No. I can't. Was there more?
No,
Because
it's all good.
the book
Margot
does not talk
Bonopera.
about the show. So this is a little bit confusing. The book is about the house, and it's the people who stay in the house. But the show came after, and you don't see pictures of the show in the book.
No.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
But it was important to actually map the residency because so many, I mean, at the end we understood
Yeah.
visually also all the artists participating because the number was growing. We were like,
Yeah, and the house was never open when the people were staying. So then when the show happened, there's no one staying technically. Sometimes someone would just stay, but like not really. But that's when people could tour the house.
Yes.
Because then it was done. It was over.
If you got a ticket for the show, you could also see
Yeah.
the house, visit the house together.
Yeah. So then it becomes truly the exhibition. And there is an exhibition also.
But some artists did never meet before the exhibition.
Yeah, and so then we had the opening, and then a lot of people came back to town and got to meet the other people who had seen their work in the house but didn't know them. And we had this secret blog where people were posting on it, and you could read what other people had written, or there was a book that we had made that people had inscribed in, and so
a
it's like,
book. Yeah.
One day I crossed the Place de la République and I see Laura with Gary Indiana. And I said,
yeah,
Gary, what are you doing here? I hadn't seen him for 30 years. He had written for us in the 80s.
Yeah.
And,
For
and,
Parquet,
he said,
yeah.
oh, Bice. So it was amazing.
yeah,
To meet some, and that's also a bit the beauty of the art world, that you can see you meet, you work with someone, but you then don't see them for 30 years, and here they are, and you immediately connect. I mean, this is
But
very
this is Arles
beautiful.
also. Very
And this is
better
Arles,
created.
and yeah.
Are very special,
Yeah.
I think.
yeah. And Gary became a good friend of mine when we hosted at 356. We did sort of a retrospective of Gary. He did a show, an art show, but we did a weekend symposium to introduce all his work to younger writers and younger artists at a time when maybe not so many people knew his work, not at least the younger generation.
And the book is dedicated to his memory
Yeah.
also.
And he had a wonderful time in Arles. That was a really special place for him.
And also, yeah, the moment where they all came back to do this show and the opening, it was also a surprise. I think it's interesting because we mentioned it in the talk we did before in Paris, how some of the works were kind of edited by the other artists. Many artists took the liberty of editing and changing the works most of the time. Ito was one of the victim of this game, but in a good way.
Parker made so many artworks in the house that, it became sort of like you turn a corner, there'd be another Parker Ito. So it was kind of fun. And my daughter was like in some psychic competition with Parker to make more artworks in the house and might have succeeded. I don't know.
And you covered his nudity.
We enhanced. the nudity.
Enhanced. Some of the works, but he was shocked. I remember his reaction because the artists, when they came to visit the house at the end, as you said, Gabriele, some of them were really shocked by what happened to their works and how they were placed, displaced, but nobody took it badly. It was like, which would never happen in any other setting, right? Where the work is completely hidden under the bed or covered by another fabric work from Naoki covering one of Parker's work.
Yeah.
Yeah, the end was exponential. I think at the beginning we were all shy, but the last month was
but
really
then we all
let's
came
go
back
on.
for this show, and we even were moving stuff around and organizing because people left stuff just on the floor. And I remember Blake sort of arranged a little curatorial hang in one area, and I was hanging stuff up that I know people had left just on a table, and
I remember Blake saying that it was a living sculpture, this house, and not decoration. If I would say the word decoration, he would scream at me and say,
That's
no, this
nice.
is a living sculpture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fun. Fun times.
Should we take questions? Is it getting late? Or
What do you think, the audience?
Karina.
Questions? Great.
Oh.
Ouh là là. Oui.
Hi, thank you for the great conversation. I was just wondering if you can still go to the house. Is everything up and is it open to the visitors?
Julie?
Right now, non. Maja, non. Non, non. Non. On ne peut
It's
pas
not.
la visiter pour l'instant, non.
If you take an appointment,
I give you my
Perfect, I will.
number.
certain things, the works of the artists that cannot stay forever there. It's all to be rediscussed with the artists, but it's really, it was the dream of the community coming together for
Yeah.
all these years, and thanks to Laura's invitation. And it was really fun to curate the invitations to the artists
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah. So I can hold it. Yeah. So that, I wish it can stay open, and it's a house we still have with the Luma Foundation, and it could continue. It all will depend on the discussions we can have with the artists and with Laura, if it is a program to be continued or not.
Là, ce rang-là, il a des questions, je sens là. Là, la première rang, non? Non, pas du tout.
Rules?
I mean, the question was simple. No,
Yeah.
what were the rules when the artist would arrive? Would you say like any surface, any place you
think
want to
so.
intervene is yours?
There was kind of an open. I kind of worked really hard to keep it open, and then there became problems later. You know, because people were like, "Well, are you gonna move my thing? Like what?" And I had to, I don't know. I think I just kind of was like, I don't know. You know, like I don't know what it. You probably can speak to it more.
You
I
felt
don't
there
know.
were rules?
At the beginning, absolutely not. And this was the scary part because we didn't know exactly where we could, or if it was too much, and then someone would get mad at us. So it was a little bit. But
the
at the end was
scale-
pretty clear. It was wild. Yeah.
The scale of the house is pretty impressive. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
on
saw through the
4.
images, but it's very high ceiling. It's 3 stories. It's like large. So
Even
it's not
4, yeah.
4 stories.
Yeah.
So it's not like any other house, right?
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
vertical.
Yes. Central.
Central
with
in
this
the
view, the view on this Roman.
Priest.
Yeah.
Ah, no.
No, the priest also, but
Yeah. There was a
special.
strong relationship with the priest from
Yeah,
the
they were.
resident.
Yes, in front of us. So the curtain then were very helpful. But
The priest for the cathedral lived across the street, and then the amphitheater you could see out the window. So if there's an interesting concert, you don't need a ticket. You just sit next to the window, and it's a very special place.
Ouais, during les Suds, it was intense,
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Il est plus là. Non. Non? En Zurich, pas de questions, non?
I hope you guys. I know books are out of fashion, but I hope you'll buy the book. And if you buy one, I'll sign it.
25 CH. Cash only.
Yeah.
merci.